Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Matthew chapter 16 and verse 1 it says, "And the Pharisees and Sadducees came, and testing him they asked him to show them a sign from heaven. But he replied to them, When it is evening you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning there will be a storm today, for the sky is red and threatening. Do you know how to discern the appearance of the sky, but cannot discern the signs of the times? An evil and adulterous generation eagerly seeks for a sign, and a sign will not be given it except the sign of Jonah." And so here, with all that Jesus had been doing, with him healing the sick, with him casting out demons, uh, calming storms and controlling the weather, and feeding thousands of people with just a small amount of food, all these miracles that Jesus was doing, and yet they wanted more. They wanted a sign from heaven. They didn't want a miracle or signs that were connected to the earth. They wanted a sign from heaven itself. And Jesus says, you're not going to receive that sign. The only sign you're going to receive is that of Jonah, alluding to his resurrection. But nonetheless, they wanted more. And, we can see this even in our conversations with people, or in our just listening to things on social media, or reading things on social media, that oftentimes this is the case, that people always want more. No matter how much evidence there is for the Christian faith, no matter how much evidence there is for the Bible, it seems to never be good enough. A lot of times that the people are always looking for that one thing. If God would only do this, then I would believe. Or if God would only, write in the sky that he is real, then I would believe. And they up the ante, and they put the burden of proof, and make the burden of proof so heavy and so big that it can never ultimately satisfy them. And in doing so, they think that they're letting themselves off the hook, because then the burden of proof is on God, or upon other Christians, or Christians that they've been interacting with, and therefore they can sit back as the skeptics and just sit back and just wait for that, that evidence that they're waiting for, and they never really come to faith. And the problem there is that, if you won't accept the proof and the evidence that you already have, what's to guarantee that you're going to believe the proof or the evidence that you think will cause you to believe? There's some who won't even believe, even if it was written in the sky. A famous atheist just recently said that. He said, even if God were to write in the sky that he was real, I still wouldn't believe it. I would just think that I was going mad. For some, there's nothing that's going to satisfy them. There's no sign that's going to be big enough. There's no evidence that's going to be large enough that's really going to bring them to faith. And so they think that they could just sit back and be the skeptic, and it's going to be okay. That then they can blame God, if he exists, in their mind. They can blame him for not giving them enough evidence. And perhaps that's some of what's going on here with the Pharisees and Sadducees. But why would the Lord give them a sign from heaven? He had given them enough signs. He had given them enough evidence through the life of Jesus, and the miracles that he was performing, and the great authority through which he was teaching, the life that he was living. They had all the evidence that they needed, and it wasn't necessary for God to give them a sign out of heaven, because even if he had done that, in all likelihood, they would have written it off as something else, and would have somehow explained it away. And so this is a very important principle for us to follow, that we don't want to be the type of people who are always seeking for something bigger, something larger, a greater sign, in order to be able to just act on faith on the amount of evidence and the amount of signs that God has already given us. But to be able to act on that, and of course that applies to a non-believer, but it can apply to believers as well. There might be times when the Lord is really directing us in a particular way, and he's pulling us in a particular direction, but we don't really ever follow where the Lord is leading us, because maybe we're seeking a greater sign that God really wants us to go that way. And we're always seeking for the Lord to just, write it in the sky that he wants us to engage in this particular thing, especially if it's something that might be difficult or challenging and we're intimidated by. But we got to recognize, we got to look at what the Lord has already shown us and say, how have I already seen the Lord pointing me in that direction? How is it that the Lord has already been leading me in this particular way? And be able to take by faith what the Lord has already showed us. And it might very well be that the Lord will increase his communication to us and showing us the direction that he wants us to go as time goes on. But first, we got to take by faith what he's already shown us. It's when we take by faith the little things that then the Lord can show us the larger things, because then he can be confident in knowing that we will take those by faith as well. And so this should be a challenge to all of us, believers or non-believers, to take what God has given us already and seize that by faith, whatever it might be. And when we do that, when we take by faith what the Lord has already shown us, then it opens up the door for the Lord to show us new things, and who knows, maybe larger things. But it starts with us taking what we've already received and taking that by faith and moving forward with that. And hopefully we'll be encouraged to do that as we do our reading today. And with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.